Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be breaking down the Lucifer Volume 7, Exodus. At the end of last volume, the big sort of status quo shift is that God, Yahweh, has abandoned heaven. And now in this volume we will see the repercussions of that. And in our first story arc, Brothers in Arms, we're going to have two characters from Greek mythology learn of a God abandoning the throne, and now they want to be the new God. So let's dive into it. Lucifer Volume 7, Exodus. Lucifer Volume 7, Exodus, written by Mike Carey, art by Peter Gross and Ryan Kelly. Lucifer Issue 42, Brothers in Arms, Part 1 of 3. In the last volume, God has abandoned heaven. This has caused repercussions throughout the universe, and has prompted other ancient powers to rise up and attempt to take over the Silver City, take over God's throne. We meet two figures from Greek mythology, Garamas and Gyges. They are the children of chaos, the titans of Greek mythology, and they are brothers. When they wake up this day, they club two innocent civilians to death, and they prepare to eat them. The Cyclops Gyges tells his brother, "Yahweh is gone, brother. The God of the covenant, the God of creation. And without the order established by the gods, our own position becomes difficult." The two of them debate what to do, and then they decide, if the absence of God is the root of our problem, then why not become him? Thus they begin their journey in trying to become God. They then ask, "How do we become Yahweh, Garamas?" Garamas says, "We usurp the space that he has left empty. I see no great difficulty in this. To begin with, we trace the edges of that space and we determine its size, its contours, the points at which it touches that which it is not." The two of them then journey into a city, and they start testing out how it will be if they are the new god. Garamas tells his brother, "For example, to be a god requires a belief in the value of reward and punishment. Observe." Garamas then turns to some civilians that are waiting at a crosswalk. He tells them, "You have obeyed the sign. You will enjoy long life and plenty, and you will bear 100 children. Garamas then points to some other civilians and says to them, "But the rest of you, you have stolen and fornicated, and in your hearts you have wished your friends to fail. You are loathsome in our sight." Garamas screams this last part so loud that the flesh falls off these various civilians and they die. Gyges, watching his brother do this, says, "That was easy enough." Garamas responds, "That was only the beginning. There is a sequel, which comes before." The two then travel through some sort of portal. Through the portal, they seem to have gone back in time. They are trying to usurp God's space, fulfilling his role in the Old Testament. And by doing so, they seem to be taking on some of God's powers. The two of them then journey on. We will return to them later. For now, we jump over to the old waitress of the Lux, Beatrice Welschler. We have not seen her for a while. Not since Cestus attacked the Lux and it burned down. We see that Beatrice has hired some sort of call girl to dress like Mazikeen. Beatrice has done this as some sort of way to explore her romantic feelings to Mazikeen, which she apparently has. But in the middle of this call girl session, Beatrice has second thoughts and doesn't wish to go through with it. When Beatrice wishes to cancel, the call girl tells her, "Hey, I'm not offended. In fact, let me guess. You're basically straight, but you got a crush on some woman you know, and you thought sleeping with a call girl would get it out of your system. Am I right? Look, I don't mind, darling. I get lots like that. And a dollar is a dollar, you know?" Afterwards, Beatrice goes to her job. She apparently works as a waitress at a bowling alley. While Beatrice is working, all of a sudden, the bowling alley starts to shake. The glass inside explodes, and all these civilians inside die. All except for Beatrice. She gets knocked around a little bit. Beatrice, as she's recovering, she hears voices in her head. A conversation going on. It goes, "This one? Yes, an old image but clear. The angle is a little steep though. From over here then? Do it now." Yes, there would be better. Afterwards, when the police ask Beatrice what happened, she's not sure how to explain it. Elsewhere, in Lucifer's cosmos, he is visited by two angels, Uriel and Zonaquel. They all talk. Lucifer asks, "Where's Michael? Still sulking?" Uriel responds, "Michael has withdrawn from us. He sits at the foot of God's throne and will speak to no one. That is why we came, Morningstar. We wondered if the holy name gave you any reason for his leaving, or any indication as to when." Lucifer to this says, "God's burned his bridges behind him, closed the circle of eternity from the outside. As to the reason, it was always his plan to leave, once he had chosen a successor." Zonaquel, annoyed, questions, "And that would be you?" Lucifer answers, "That would be both of us, myself and my noble brother, Michael. You see, each of us supplies something that the other lacks." Zonaquel thinks this is absurd. Lucifer continues, "It's also irrelevant. Neither of us wants the job, but others will. God is, or was, the determinant of this reality, this creation. Now that he's gone, every god, demon, and tooth fairy will want to step into his shoes, unless you preempt them." Later on, after much more journeying, the two titans, Gyges and Garamas, somehow make their way inside Lucifer's Lux, the previous bar now cathedral with no doors. And inside the Lux, the two of them are by one of Lucifer's portals, one of his gateways, and they are trying to stretch it. Lucifer and Mazikeen, they make their way down to the basement of the Lux where the two titans are. Mazikeen asks, "You think the other powers are mobilizing?" Lucifer to this says, "They'd be insane not to. They'll never have a better chance to take control. The only question is who'll be first." Lucifer then sees Gyges and Garamas messing with his gateway and says, "Ah, Gyges and Garamas, the children of chaos. I'd have expected the comic interlude to come further down the bill. Is there anything you wanted to say before sentence is passed?" Gyges responds, "We are borrowing your gateway. We have need of it." Lucifer, ever confident, floats in the air and replies, "I'm sure there are nuances I'm missing here, but to be honest, I don't really care." Lucifer, with his powers, lights the two titans aflame, but they seem unaffected by Lucifer's powers. Garamas tells Lucifer, "When Yahweh was Lord of all, then your fires were to be feared. But now we are lords of all, and we have stepped into your father's space, Morningstar, and your father is the light you shine by, so you have no power against us." So we see the two titans are slowly gaining the powers of God. They are becoming God. They then manage to open the gateway to be very large, like the giants they are. Garamas says to his brother, "There is nothing further to detain us here. The gate is open. Let us take our place in heaven." Lucifer issue 43, Brothers in Arms, part 2 of 3. Gyges and Garamas then disappear into Lucifer's gateway. As they are leaving, Gyges says, "Farewell, Morningstar. You must come and worship us soon. If you are suitably humble, we will receive you graciously." Lucifer tells Mazikeen, "Stay here and guard the gate until I return." Mazikeen asks, "And if you don't?" Lucifer answers, "Then take the Lilim to the Silver City and hold it for as long as you can. If I don't join you there, you can mourn me at your leisure." When the Gyges and Garamas pass through the gateway, they are not in heaven. They are not in Lucifer's cosmos. Somehow they have been transported to Ephral in hell. Lucifer follows them through the gateway. Gyges and Garamas, annoyed they are not where they thought they would be, they question Lucifer. "Do you think we need your gates to rise to heaven, Lightbringer?" Lucifer answers, "No, I'm sure you don't, but from the borders of hell, it's a long walk." "Did you know Ephral, by the way? I left his bones here after I killed him, and the local gentry turned his skull into a boundary marker. What I killed, I can bring back." So apparently this region of hell was named after this creature, Ephral, which Lucifer killed in the past. Well, Lucifer now returns that creature to life to attack the two titans. Lucifer then leaves them be as Ephraim attacks the two giants. Back on Earth, Beatrice Welshler goes to a hospital to get checked on. The doctor says she looks fine. Once Beatrice leaves, the doctor and the medical staff die just like those in the bowling alley did, all while strange voices speak, just like in the bowling alley as well. Later on, up in the Silver City, Lucifer arrives. He wishes to speak with his brother Michael. The other angels are defensive, as Lucifer being here is almost an act of war. But the angel, Uriel, he calms everyone down, and he will allow Lucifer to speak with his brother, although he warns Lucifer that Michael is currently speaking with no one. Lucifer replies, "He'll speak to me." Lucifer then starts walking up the large staircase to where God's throne is. Back down in hell, the monster Ephraim is battling the two titans. Ephraim is even more gigantic than them, so he has the upper hand. At one point, Ephraim grabs Garamas and bites into a chunk of him. But Garamas, now getting the hand of his new god powers, manages to turn Ephraim's blood into molten lead, and Ephraim drops dead again. The two Titan brothers then regrow their flesh with their new powers, and then they decide what they shall do next. Gyges asks, see, with a thought I am whole again. Let us go on to heaven and be enthroned." Garamas, thinking, replies, "A moment, Gyges, it behooves us to be careful." Gyges asks, "Careful? But are we not God?" Garamas to this answers, "Aye, we are, but, still, the Morningstar is most sly. We are stronger, but strength has not availed against him in the past. We may need some other weapon." The dim-witted Gyges asks, "A club, perhaps?" Garamas answers, "Not a club. Give me silence while I think." Up in the Silver City, Lucifer walks up the staircase and sees his brother Michael at the top. Michael tells Lucifer, "I came here to be alone, Lucifer. Will you not respect my wishes, or do you prefer to be cast out of heaven all over again?" Lucifer explains the situation to Michael. He says, "The Titans have walked outside of time and usurped our father's power." Michael, not worried, says, "The Titans are a joke in poor taste." Lucifer responds, "Nonetheless, they are coming here now to assert their rule. I wasn't able to stop them." Michael, not wanting any part of this, says, "I care not. I served our father faithfully, and my reward was to be chastised for not being you. So, if you are to be his successor, this problem is yours." Michael is actually sitting outside of the door into God's throne room. Lucifer sarcastically replies to Michael, "You're very generous, brother. I thought we might actually come to blows over this. But since you're happy to waive your birthright, and since nobody else is likely to press a claim against me," Lucifer walks inside the throne room and sits on the throne. Michael, annoyed, says, "Lucifer, I did not mean that." Lucifer, sitting down, says, "Then without undue formality, I take my place in the Prima Mobile. I am Lucifer, the son of Yahweh, God of this creation and of the other." Back on Earth, Beatrice, not sure what to do, decides to go to the Lux. The Lux is now some sort of cathedral Lucifer has designed with no doors. Beatrice goes to the wall of the Lux and asks, "Mazikeen, are you still alive? Are you in there?" Back down in Ephraim, the two Titans are figuring out a plan. Garamas suggests that they create a Dunum, a magical construct double of Lucifer whose touch will negate and consume him. Gyges thinks this is an excellent plan, but he questions how will they weave it. Garamas answers, "From memories. There must be mortals who have been touched by the Lightbringer, who have seen him and spoken with him. We will comb their minds and take from them what we need." Garamas spits into a large bowl and then does some magic in it, and he sees some of the mortals that are close to Lucifer. And through this, they discover the waitress, Beatrice Welshler, and they decide she will be a suitable mortal to pluck memories from to create their Lucifer double. Back up in the Silver City by God's throne, Michael is annoyed. He yells at Lucifer, "Brother, this is not what I intended and I will not allow it." The two brothers bicker and argue and yell. In the end, Lucifer tells his brother, "There are 3 of us who can continue God's line. 3 of us who can still pose a threat to the Titans." Lucifer then hands Michael a tie and tells him, "Use it as a blindfold, then you won't have to see what they do to her." So Lucifer, he is basically saying that if Michael doesn't want to help him, then these Titans are going to take over heaven. And when they do, who knows what they will do to Michael's daughter, Elaine. Thereby, Michael should help him defeat these Titans. Back down in Ephro, Garamas reaches his giant hand through the gateway portal, and then his hand is all of a sudden in the Lux, and he reaches through the Lux, destroys some of the walls inside, and grabs Beatrice Welshler, who is right outside of it. Garamas then pulls her back in through the portal and into Ephro. Once he has her in Ephro, he inspects her mind, extracts the memories of Lucifer he needs, and then he throws Beatrice in the air behind him. Garamas, with his god powers, then creates this Lucifer double, and he instructs it, "Go, find who is your reflection and touch him, be one with him and consume him." The Lucifer Junim replies, "I will." The Lucifer double then flies up ahead to go to heaven to confront Lucifer, and the 2 Titan brothers, they begin their leisurely walk to heaven as well. Mazikeen, she then goes through the portal, and she finds Beatrice tossed on Ephro's ground. Beatrice is severely injured from the fall. Mazikeen picks Beatrice up and carries her in her arms. Beatrice, severely injured, sees Mazikeen and asks, "Mazikeen? Where are you taking me?" Mazikeen replies, "To heaven." Meanwhile, up in heaven, Lucifer has left the throne room and is descending down the stairs. Uriel goes up to Lucifer and asks, "So, you've spoken?" Lucifer answers, "Yes, we've spoken." Uriel asks, "And you've agreed on a plan?" Lucifer answers, "I'm afraid not. My brother feels a little ambivalent about the prospect of heaven's survival and his own. You'd better take me to the armory. Whatever's coming, I want to be ready for it." Lucifer, issue 44, Brothers in Arms, part 3 of 3. Up in the Silver City, Mazikeen and Beatrice arrive, Mazikeen dragging Beatrice behind her. Meanwhile, Lucifer is in the Silver City's armory, putting on some armor, preparing for the coming battle. This particular armor that Lucifer is wearing was actually designed for him in his pre-rebellion days. Later on, Mazikeen manages to find Lucifer, and she warns him on the double that is coming for him. Mazikeen explains, "I saw it, a double of you woven from black threads. They used Beatrice's memories to make it. They said it would consume you when you touched it." Lucifer, he starts thinking up a plan. Finally, up in the skies above the Silver City, Lucifer's Junim arrives. 2 warrior angels attempt to stop it, but they fail spectacularly, and the Lucifer double lights them aflame as it continues barreling forwards. Moments later, the real Lucifer then flies up to confront his double, as well as the Titans that have now arrived at the Silver City. Lucifer lights his double aflame, and then he deftly flies and dodges the erratic swings of the Titans. At one point, Gyges swings a large club. Lucifer evades it, and the club hits Garamas right in his face. Gyges, after hitting his brother, says, I'm so sorry, he moved when I tried to hit him." As the Titans prepare to continue their attack on Lucifer, they realize they no longer have to, as the double has finally got the upper hand on Lucifer and is beginning to strangle him. That is when Lucifer's brother Michael finally decided to exit God's throne and join the battle. Michael attempts to attack the Titans, but as long as the Titans hold God's power, he cannot destroy them. Elsewhere, Mazikeen is attempting to enact a solution through Beatrice. Mazikeen in blood paints strange patterns over Beatrice's face and body. While Mazikeen is doing this, Beatrice confesses to Mazikeen that she was coming to the Lux to find her because she loves Mazikeen. Mazikeen replies, "I know." Beatrice then tells Mazikeen to do what she is going to do next. Mazikeen with a sword runs it through Beatrice's body, and somehow this releases a power that flows backwards through Beatrice's experiences to the moment of the Titans' revival in Greece at the start of the story. And by doing this, it destroys the Titans. It destroys them in the past, before they could have usurped God's powers. So now in the present, the Titans die and turn to dust. And with the Titans gone, Lucifer's double soon loses its power and dies too. With the Titans gone, Beatrice is afraid that she has died, but Mazikeen tells her, "Stop, you're still alive. The blow passed through you." With the day saved, the other angels finally tell Mazikeen, "Is it over?" Mazikeen answers, "It's over." Then the angels say, "Well then, there's no longer a need for your presence here." Mazikeen then tells Beatrice, "Beatrice, I need your help in one final act. Passion is blasphemy in this holy place, and I have a great need to blaspheme." Mazikeen then gives Beatrice a passionate kiss as she flips the angels off with the middle finger. Afterwards, some of the angels talk with Lucifer and Michael. They say, "Our thanks to you, sons of Yahweh. The city cried out to you in its distress, and you heard its pleas." Lucifer asks his brother, "Will you take the throne then?" Michael answers, "No, but neither will you. I will be more vigilant in the future. You will not be needed again." In the aftermath, Lucifer, Mazikeen, and Beatrice all return to Lucifer's cosmos. This trade paperback skips Lucifer issue 45, so we'll get to that next volume, and then it moves on to issue 46. And issue 46 is the beginning of a new Lucifer story arc, and it's technically two story arcs told in alternating chapters, but really the two story arcs kind of work hand in hand together. Okay, so continuing on now, Lucifer issue 46, Stitchglass Slide, Part 1, The Weaving. After the rebellion of the Titans in the last story arc, Lucifer has decided to evict every last immortal from his cosmos, and he has decided to ask Elaine Belloc to carry out this task for him. So Lucifer, within his cosmos, speaks with Elaine. As of a few story arcs ago, Elaine was put in charge of everything inside Lucifer's cosmos, everything except hedgehogs, which Mona Doyle will take care of. Lucifer tells Elaine, "I had my doubts, but you seem to have adapted fairly well to this role. That's why I've come to you now instead of just doing what needs to be done." Lucifer goes on to explain that ever since the Titans stormed heaven, he wants all immortals, gods, demons, and the like living here in his creation gone. He tolerated them in the past because it didn't matter, but now it does, and he wants them out. Elaine asks, "Gone dead or just gone?" Lucifer replies, "If I handle it myself, I'll do whatever's quickest, but I'm prepared to entertain another solution." Elaine asks, "Would I have to do it alone?" Lucifer answers, "I'll assign you some helpers if you like. Be clear on this though, I'll expect you to finish what you start." Elaine responds, "I'll do it, just to keep the body count down, but I'll choose my own helpers." So, Elaine has been given a task, and now she's allowed to recruit some helpers. The helpers she chooses for this task are her best friend, Mona Doyle, Gaudium, Spira, Mazikeen, as well as the tiny Lilim known as Elokium Shayer, who is 9 inches tall and rides a miniature dragon. We met this character briefly in a previous story arc. He is one of Mazikeen's soldiers. When Mazikeen finds out her supposed task, and how she is supposed to take orders from Elaine, she grows a little frustrated, so she speaks with Lucifer. She shares with Lucifer she does not want to be commanded by a child, nor does she want to serve with the likes of those, referring to Gaudium and Spira. Lucifer tells Mazikeen, Elaine Ballock is a child no longer. She has grown into something else. I want you to give her your loyalty and to watch how she works. Mazikeen, a little apprehensive, says, Well, then I obey, my lord, in this as in all things. Elaine and her crew of helpers will soon start to try and remove all the immortals from Lucifer's cosmos. And one of those immortals we will meet now. An immortal in Lucifer's cosmos that goes by the name of Thol. While a seemingly insignificant creature, he is an immortal and he soon will have to go. This big insect-like creature, Thol, is a masterful spinner of a substance called Stichglass, a substance created within his own body from emotions that he harvests from the world. It is from this Stitchglass material that his home is carefully built. His carefully crafted home is a sort of nest that he builds to fulfill his lifelong goal of mating and raising young. So it is his hope that building a beautiful home, a beautiful nest, will attract a mate for him. Now, this Stitchglass is created from emotions. However, there are some emotions, some feelings that Thol doesn't swallow, and he doesn't weave, and it hurts to keep those emotions inside. So what comes out, not as Stitchglass, comes out instead as a kind of gross substance called slop. We see Thol secreting this slop into buckets, and this slop substance is filled with a whole bunch of negative emotions. Thol does not want this slop substance near his beautiful home he is creating to find a mate. That is why Thol was happy when, inside Lucifer's cosmos, he found the gateways that connect Lucifer's cosmos to the other world. Now Thol, he isn't even entirely sure what these gateways are, but he just refers to them as the slop hole, and he throws all his disgusting excess slop through the slop hole, and it just goes away, and it never fills, and there's no smell or ooze. It's like an unlimited garbage disposal. Only this gateway or slop hole was not actually going to a dump. It was actually going through a gateway and leading to the attic of a little boy's home named Martin. So all of Thol's negative emotions that were secreted in this slop were pouring through the portal in the attic and poisoning the minds of the family that lived in the home there. They were especially poisoning the mind of a boy named Martin, who is overcome by these emotions, and he cannot control himself properly anymore because of it. And Martin starts acting out and being really weird and psychotic. We see him in his bedroom, and he has been cutting off all the heads from his teddy bears. When his mom questions him, Martin says, "I was scared of my teddy, and so I killed him with the scissors. But then he looked so funny with his head off, I just laughed and laughed and laughed." Martin's mother, frustrated with her boy, goes down to talk with her husband. The mother says to her husband that Martin was sent home from school again for hitting the teacher. The two of them debate, bringing in some sort of expert that deals with children, a guy named Rousseau. The husband says, okay, they can do that, but tonight the boy sleeps in the attic. Martin's father goes up to the bedroom, grabs Martin, and shoves him up in the attic there. When Martin is in the attic, he starts weeping. Thol, on the other side of the gateway, hears the weeping from his side of the portal, and he decides to go through the portal to investigate. So Thol crawls through the portal, and he is in Martin's attic. When Thol sees Martin, he's not sure what to make of it. But soon Thol realizes what his slop has done to this boy, how the negative emotions from the slop have kind of messed this boy up. So Thol creates something for Martin called a self-stone, which will protect Martin from any emotions that are not his own. Once Thol was done, he put Martin to sleep, and then he disappeared back into the portal. When Martin woke up in the morning, he felt really weird, but didn't have as many negative emotions as he did before. Martin's dad collects Martin and brings him downstairs, and the expert Rousseau has arrived in the home. Martin is told to sit down. The expert Rousseau tells Martin, "We're going to let a little light into you, Martin. We're going to realign your chakras." Martin's mother asks, "This isn't like an exorcism, is it?" Mr. Rousseau replies, "Lord, no, Miss Patterson. This is a spiritual science, not superstition. There are no devils inside, Martin. I'm the electrician of the spirit." Rousseau starts forcibly touching Martin's head and saying some sort of weird chants, and Martin tells Rousseau that stop that, it hurts. Rousseau just yells, "It's the pain of realignment, Martin, of everything coming right again inside of you. It'll get worse before it gets better." Martin, he runs away from Rousseau and his parents, and he runs up into the attic, and he runs through the portal. And then all of a sudden he finds himself in Lucifer's cosmos, and in that cosmos he finds Thole. Thole, seeing Martin, says, You cannot stay here, animal. This is not your house. Go now, go. Why my circle did not stop you, make you forget, or be afraid to come?" Martin, a little confused, says, I just want to see what you were doing." Thole tells Martin, "You have to go home, animal. Home to your slop hole." Martin responds, "I won't. I hate it there." Thole tries to scare Martin and says, "I am demon. I will eat you and kill you and bite you many times." Martin to this says, I don't believe you. I'm staying." Thole, annoyed, eventually relented, and he just went back to what he was doing, building his nest home. And Martin, he just sat down quietly for many hours, and then eventually he got really sad at night. This causes Thole to go back down to speak with Martin. Thole tells the boy, "Animal, this is not good. Your jagged brown sorrow will scare away the females." Martin responds, I'm not an animal, I'm a boy. My name's Martin, and I can't stop being sad or angry or scared or laughing when there's nothing funny. That's why my mom and dad shout all the time and hate me." Eventually, Thole, wanting to make Martin feel better, secretes some positive emotions and builds a little slide. Once he's done, he tells Martin, "It's a slide of Stitchglass. Slide on it, animal." Martin to this says, "No, it's lame." Thole responds, "It's not lame. I spun it from excitement and joy. Try and see." Martin relents, and he slides down the little slide. And sure enough, he's filled with great excitement and joy right after. So the days pass. Thole and Martin start to become a little bit of friends in a way. Thole takes care of Martin and gives him food, and creates him a little room to sleep in. Eventually, Thole shows Martin all of these shells that are used in his mating process. Thole explains that the female fills the shell with the child essence, and then the male does, perhaps I will explain that part to you when you are older. The days continue to pass, and Martin and Thole continue to have an okay time. Until finally they are interrupted by Una, the spinner. She is a female of Thole's race. Only the female is gigantic and almost like a barbarian. Una tells Thole, "Lover, I am yours." She says this as she holds Martin upside down in her hand. Lucifer, issue 47, Wire, Briar, Limberlock, The Winnowing. So the press release or whatever went out, and all the immortals in Lucifer's cosmos got the message that they were supposed to leave. So a lot of them packed their bags and started to head out. But of course, there were some stragglers that didn't want to go. And that is where Elaine and her crew are going to come in. Elaine's crew splits up to tackle the various stragglers around the cosmos. We have a quick montage of them kicking various immortals out, like a Hercules-type character, a leprechaun, a fire creature, a demon in a town square, hundreds of miserable little ghosts clinging together in the scariest thing they could think of, which was a wicked witch that had a gingerbread cottage. Finally, the issue ends with Mazikeen and Elaine on their own, making camp for the night. Elaine grows tired, so she falls asleep, but Mazikeen senses an immortal nearby. Mazikeen decides to let Elaine sleep, and then she heads out on her own to deal with the one that they missed. Lucifer, issue 48, Stitchglass Slide 2, The War. Jumping back over to Thole. Una tells Thole,
I heard your call, Sex Blossom. Here I am.
Thole, excited to have a potential mate come, says, You comed it at last! Most beauteous, scarcely I can contain my joy. But, the boy, Martin, I would ask you to please release him. He's my friend. Una finds it strange that Thole would have a human boy that's a friend, but either way, she drops him. She then tells Thole,
Well, let's see this house of yours. If I like it, you can feed me, and then you can have sex with me.
Thole shows the house, and then he shows the egg chamber. But Una, she wants the food first. She says,
I said I'm hungry. Una will wait in the food pit. She likes sweet potatoes, nutmeg, speargrass, wild thyme, and cactus roots. And to have her armpits licked while she eats.
Martin, watching this interaction, feels that Thole is maybe being taken advantage of. As the days pass, Thole is just dotting on Una, like a lovesick puppy, giving her everything that she wants. He gathers food for her, an enormous amount of food, that Una is just gluttonously piling in her belly. We see her here just lying on the ground, barely able to move, with drool coming out of her mouth. She put on so much weight, and she kept delaying the mating process. Una told Thole,
I think I'll be squirting some yolks into those eggs of yours pretty soon.
Thole, happy to hear it, says, Oh, most blissful of all days, most welcome of any news. Una, though she's still hungry, she tells Thole,
I'm starting to hanker. You know about hankering?
Thole replies, I have heard of it. Shall I massage your scalp some more? Una responds,
No, my little fuckflower. Just bring me the boy.
Una wants to eat little Martin. Martin, overhearing this, begins to run away, and he runs through the slop hole, or the gateway, to his attic, and comes out the other side. On the other side, his dad is there, and almost no time has passed on this side of the gateway, even though Martin has actually been gone for many, many days. Martin's dad grabs Martin and brings him back downstairs to their expert, Rousseau. Meanwhile, back in Lucifer's cosmos, Una and Thole continue their dance. Some time has passed here since Martin has been gone, and Una decides that she wants to go and get Martin. She wants to go through the slop hole and retrieve him. Thole tries to stop her, but there is no stopping Una when she's hangry. Back in Martin's home in the other side of the gateway, Martin's dad has brought him back down to Rousseau. Rousseau sits Martin down and tries to begin his chakra process once more. Only, at that moment, Una makes her way through the slop hole, and she is now in Martin's family's attic, and her immense weight causes the ceiling to collapse, and Una falls right through and lands right on Rousseau, killing him. Una then tells Martin and the others,
You know, in my condition, you shouldn't be making me do things like this.
Una grabs Martin and brings him back through the gateway to Lucifer's cosmos. Then we see Una walking over to Thole. Martin is still alive in her arms, but she has actually killed Martin's parents and is wearing them on her feet, like slippers. When Una returns to Thole, she takes off her human slippers and announces that she wants to have a barbecue of Martin. She's gonna go prepare the barbecue, and she wants Thole to go get some kindling. Una heads off to start on the barbecue, and then Thole finally has to make a decision. He doesn't want his friend Martin to die. So Thole excreted a kind of solvent, a kind of anti-Stitchglass gland from his mouth. He secreted it just to the outer circle of his home, and it acts as a kind of signal flare. Thole didn't know who he thought would answer it, but Mazikeen, who was nearby, she sensed that signal flare, and she soon arrived to investigate it. When Mazikeen arrives, she sees Una. She tells Una, "You, spinner, all immortals were told to leave this realm. Why are you still here?" Una responds, "I'm trying to eat." The two exchange a few more words. Una gets angry, and she squirts in Mazikeen's face. Then while Mazikeen is surprised, Una grabs Mazikeen and throws her around. Mazikeen takes lots of damage. Eventually, Martin finds Mazikeen and gives her the Self Stone, the thing that Thole gave him earlier. This seems to give Mazikeen some renewed strength. And when Una charges at Mazikeen again, Mazikeen manages to stick a spear through her belly, killing Una. With Una dead, all that is left now is Thole and Martin. Mazikeen tells Thole, You can leave or you can die. Decide now, I've wasted enough time already." That is when Elaine arrives. Elaine tells Mazikeen, "You should have awoken me." Mazikeen reiterates the choices to Thole, death or exile. Elaine steps in though and says, "Well, let's see, what Lucifer actually said was that all immortals had to leave." Elaine then asks Thole, how sold are you on immortality? I mean, as a concept." So Thole, he had to choose death or exile, but there was actually another option. He could give up his immortality, and he could stay, and that is what he chose. So Thole, he wasn't immortal anymore, but he could stay, and apparently him and Martin continued to live together there in Lucifer's cosmos, and Thole, in a way, became Martin's new father, and they were happy. Martin then narrates, "I lived in that place for 14 years. It became my home, and Thole became my father, each more precious to the other because of what we'd lost. I cannot say my heart broke when Thole died. I had watched him grow old, and I am a realist about such things. As a realist, I sat and pondered on what he had given up to stay with me, to give me a home. The grief itself I balance within me, as he would have done, until I can weave it into something else." Lucifer, issue 49, Briar, Limberlock 2, The Widow. Elaine and Mazikeen have a talk. Elaine tells Mazikeen to not do that again. Don't go off and fight and kill without even telling her first. Mazikeen apologizes. She says that her Lord Lucifer has commanded her to obey Elaine, and if she errs, she must be told. Elaine and Mazikeen then continue on their mission. As they travel and talk some more, some mutual respect starts to grow between the two of them. After some more work of clearing immortals is done, they finally feel like they've got them all. Elaine says, "Well, we're finished here. The last immortals are gone. I've cast my mind out clear across those mountains and there's nothing there." We'll return to Mazikeen and Elaine in a bit. For now, we jump over to Lucifer, down on Earth in Los Angeles. Lucifer has invited some angels from heaven to come meet him as he wants to show them something. He says, "You need to prepare for the end of the world. Come and see." Lucifer brings them inside the Lux, over to his gateway. The thing about the gateway is, it inscribed God's name on the outside of it. Lucifer did that way back in Volume 1 to keep the gateway stable. But the thing is, God has abandoned heaven now, and now the gateway is becoming unstable. Lucifer has the angels observe the gateway, and the gateway seemingly starts spazzing out off and on. The angels, a little concerned, ask, "Does that happen often?" Lucifer answers, "No, but the letters of my father's name are all that hold the gate open. Now he's gone, and yesterday the letters began to fade. With the results you see, I doubt the gate will last more than a few days, a week at most. God's name is written on every atom of his creation. It's the glue that holds reality together, and when it's gone, you will all be too, along with everything else that lives here. Well, this crisis caused by God being gone and the gateways becoming unstable will have to be dealt with in future story arcs. For now, we return to Elaine and Mazikeen. Elaine and Mazikeen travel onward and reunite with the others. Spira reads from a scroll. Here's the final score: 12,722 evictions and 74 fatalities. Gaudium chimes in. So the good guys win. Are we hot or are we not? All asses kicked. No jab too big or small. Elaine, she feels a little bad though. She says to the group, most of the immortals were just minding their own business, and we hounded them and chased them away, and if they didn't go, we killed them. Mona says we only killed the ones who were trying to kill us, Elaine. Mazikeen rebuts, we did what we undertook to do. To a soldier, that in itself is virtue. And you should ask yourself this. Would those who died be alive now if my lord Lucifer had visited them instead? As they continue talking, Mazikeen then pauses, and she says, the trees are too close. Elaine, she then thinks on it, and then she senses something. She says to the group, I think I made a mistake. I think another immortal is hiding from us. All of a sudden, one of the trees in the forest punches Elaine in the face. Mazikeen, with her sword, starts cutting some of the tree branches down. Eventually, Mazikeen and Elaine get knocked to the ground. Elaine, she then senses who this being is. She says, yes, I can see it. It's so stupid to miss something so big. Elaine's consciousness then reaches out into the green. In DC Comics, the green is a mystical elemental realm that represents the collective life force of all plant life. And usually the hero Swamp Thing lives within the green. Although here in Lucifer's cosmos, there is a sort of Swamp Thing that lives in Lucifer's version of the green, only it is a different Swamp Thing. Elaine, reaching into the green here, talks to this Swamp Thing. Elaine says to it, you're the guardian of the green, the spirit of all that has roots and grows. The Swamp Thing here responds, I am, and you are Elaine of the Sisters. Elaine says, you hid yourself from us so well, yourself and someone else. The Swamp Thing to this says, the widow, the Theodomet. She is my friend and my protector. I love her. Leave her be, and I promise this will end. Elaine tells the creature, spirit, this has already ended. You're so young, I guess because the whole world is young. Spirit, the Maker has ordered all the immortals to leave his realm. You've got to go from this place. The Swamp Thing begins crying and says, I cannot go from this place because I am this place. I know what the Maker has said, but I die whether I stay or go. Elaine argues, and in the green, isn't death part of the way things work? The Swamp Thing answers, yes, it is, but I was afraid because I have not known death before, and I wanted to help the Kira, but I am ready now, Elaine. The Swamp Thing then seemingly dies, and all of a sudden, the leaves all around Elaine, Mazikeen, and the others turn brown and begin falling off the trees. Mazikeen asks Elaine, what's happening here? Elaine answers, autumn. Just autumn. The guardian spirit of this world's plant life just died. The forest's mourning for him. And there's another immortal up ahead of us. He was hiding her too. He called her the Kira something. Theodomet? Mazikeen recognizes this name. She asks to speak to Elaine privately. Mazikeen seems to know who this Theodomet supposedly is, and it's personal to her. She asks Elaine to leave this last one for her to deal with, and let her do it alone. In an exchange, Mazikeen says, I will say nothing to Lucifer about what you did in the forest. Elaine seems to have saved a little bit of the Swamp Thing creature. She says, it's no secret I took our cutting, so he can live again, somewhere else, someday. If I tell Lucifer the job's done and then it turns out not to be, he's likely to lose his sense of humor. Mazikeen tells Elaine, you will not suffer from my dereliction. I will swear on my sword if you require it, and my word is... Elaine hugs Mazikeen and tells her, take it as read. Be careful, Mazikeen. You're surly and scary, and I've had a lousy time working with you. I'm thinking Elaine meant that last part sarcastically. Elaine then flies away. And Mazikeen, she walks onward. She walks, and she arrives at a mountain, which she heads inside. The mountain is guarded by a waterfall of knives. Mazikeen, she passes through, and inside is a garden, and a tall, ageless woman there. This woman is the Theomet, which is a poetic title which translates to bereaved by God. Mazikeen, seeing the woman, says, "This doesn't look much like the inside of a mountain." The woman responds, "No, and that does not sound much like love or duty. I expected more after so long a parting." Mazikeen responds, "You expect too much, mother. You always did." This woman, this Theomet, is Lilith, mother of demons, mother of monsters, and mother of Mazikeen. And with this, we end Lucifer, Volume 7. Alright, so that was Lucifer Volume 7. Let me go through my thoughts on the story arcs in this one. I thought the Brothers in Arms 3-parter story arc was really compelling. These Titans from Greek mythology learn that Yahweh has abandoned the throne of heaven, and now they want to become the new god. That is a very cool threat, and the way that Lucifer deals with it, going up to the Silver City, talking to his brother, teaming up with the angels, preparing for a fight, was epic stuff and really, really cool. Now, some of my negatives on this story arc were, though, that it was a little convoluted and high concept, trying to wrap your head around all the stuff going on. So these Titans, they went back in time somehow, and they did the Old Testament, and they did some stuff that I guess the original God did back in that time, but then they did it, so now they're becoming the God, and they have God's powers somehow. That was a little bit convoluted. And then the stuff with Beatrice, where they take some stuff from her mind, and then they create a Lucifer double with that. That was okay, I guess. But then the part where how the gods get defeated, or Mazikeen stabs Beatrice, and somehow Beatrice's thoughts, they're able to go back in time and kill those Titans before they became the Titans that they were. It's just like, I don't know. I'm really conflicted on how convoluted some of that was, but at the same time, I thought it was really cool. I don't know. Mixed on it, but overall, I kind of liked it still. But I wish it was a little bit more straightforward sometimes, the stories in this Lucifer book here. Okay, after that story arc there, we had the 4-parter, where I thought it was also a really fun concept, where Lucifer, he wants to kick all these immortals and gods and demons and everything out of his cosmos, because, these Titans have caused some anarchy. And you know what? He doesn't want to deal with that anymore. He wants them all out of his cosmos, and he puts Elaine in charge of it, because if it was just up to Lucifer, he'd probably kill them all. But Elaine's going to be a little bit more tactful. And Elaine puts together this ragtag team, and they deal with a lot of these immortals and get them out. And really fun stuff there. And I did like having Elaine and Mazikeen team up, and some of the things they had to deal with, like the little Swamp Thing character, and then the big tease of Mazikeen's mother, Lilith, at the end here, which should be exciting for future story arcs. So that was all really fun, great stuff. We also had that whole Martin and Thole side plot, which I loved. I thought it was very funny, and really kind of fun for Lucifer to sort of lean into that humor and zany kind of stuff, but still kind of dark and weird and messed up. And I really, really liked that little story arc there with Thole and Una. And Una's this like beast of a creature, and she's not treating Thole right. And then the whole stuff with Martin, great. And like really weird stuff, like when Una was wearing Martin's parents as like slippers, was so messed up. But on the whole, I love that Thole stuff, and I liked how it wrapped up there, where Thole and Martin live happily ever after in that realm. Yeah, just really, really fun story arc. So all in all, I really still like this Lucifer volume, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Lucifer continues to be very enjoyable. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on the various story arcs in this one, and I'll see you all in the future with the next Lucifer volume.